Hello, everyone. This is the housekeeping video for RLS 100, like Leisure and Pursuit of Happiness, for the week of September 28th. It's been about a month already, and we're gonna finish actually 4 weeks, 1 month of the course this week. So congratulations to all of you. We survived, 1 month down. That's fantastic. And I hope you give yourself a bit of reward for surviving the first month of the COVID semester, if you will. Well, I know I'll, reward myself with a bit of a sushi dinner, probably. I'm Japanese. I still stereotypical, I know, but I love sushi. So I'm gonna have probably some good sushi. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so from last week, we're still working on chapter 3. Many of you have finished the chapter 2 quiz, the average and all that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. You're doing a great job in the quiz as well. And their weekly activity from chapter 2, still many of you, it's going strong. About 110 of you guys posted, I think. And there's a lot of good ideas, and we really enjoy reading them and commenting back on them. I hope that you find our feedback helpful. And we're going to talk about that a little further in terms of midterm exam a little bit later. Anyway, one of the questions from chapter 2 weekly activity talked about ritual. So I wanted to clarify quickly one thing, because the chapter was a bit unclear. Chapter used example of the your textbook, use example of some sort of routine, what I would call routine behavior. By which I mean, for example, athletes. That's the best example, obviously, I would say. Someone who does sports competitively, they have the set behavior to go up to certain thing. For example, basketball player, right? Free throw, right? They may throw a ball, spin the ball, dribble twice, that kind of thing. And they do the same thing over and over. Yes, the chapter mentioned that type of ritual or routine and use it as example. But I think it's a little misleading, because I think in our field of leisure studies, we tend to study a more meaningful activity than just physical and psychological aspect. Those routines are very important for sports psychology, for example, or some sort of human performance studies. But for us leisure studies, we tend to look at the entire activity, entire event. So in this case of basketball, we tend to look at the entire basketball, usually, right? So if I ask you about ritual in exams or anything, that means something like, for example, Christmas, Super Bowl get-together, things like that, that we already discussed in a video. So if you weren't quite clear about it, please take a look at the video again. So that's great. And a lot of you guys actually mentioned Christmas. So that's very interesting, right? This year, what's going to be like with their COVID in our hands. I would be interested in your plan, your family's plan about Christmas this year, how to get together. Now, this week, we're going to keep going with chapter 3 until basically Monday, right? And then I ask you to take a quiz for chapter 3 by the end of September 29th, which is a Tuesday night, right? By same thing, 11:59 p.m., you got to take your quiz, okay? That's great. And also there are 2 weekly activities associated with the chapter 3. So I ask you, we'll be very much looking forward to seeing your thoughts and ideas about this chapter as well. And then for the rest of the week, especially Wednesday and Friday, we're going to move on to chapter 4, which is about defining and explaining leisure behavior. So it's really, now we're get to the bottom of the deepest understanding of leisure in a way. First, we're going to talk about definitions of leisure from more contemporary research-based idea, right? And it's very important, by the way. Then we'll talk about, if you look at the world, people have different leisure activity, leisure preferences, and experiences and patterns. So we're going to try to discuss theories or explanations about why, for example, I love badminton, but maybe you don't like badminton. Maybe you love something else. Maybe you like some artistic activity. What's the difference? What would be the example? What would be the explanation here beyond just saying that, hey, we two are different individuals? That's true. That's true. But there are some factors, patterns that we can take a look at. First being demographic reasons that, for example, some sort of social groups, like for example, gender group is one, right? Age group. And we're going to talk about 6 major demographic factors and social diversity factors and how that shape our leisure behavior, shape our leisure preferences, and also experiences. And that's a very key issue given the, all issues that we have in our hands right now, such as Black Lives Matter, that definitely speak to some of the social diversity. Then we're going to talk about some of the more academic theories, right? There's explanation. Somebody created a certain theory called a flow. A psychologist called Csikszentmihalyi, he came up with their theory called a flow. It's often used in a leisure field as well. What does that mean? How does that explain what kind of leisure, for example, is good or not good according to that particular theory? And that's what we're going to learn about. So that's the chapter 4, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's really, really, the foundation of this study, this course, leisure studies, as well as the relationship between leisure and happiness. So I hope you enjoy that. It's pretty heavy content, as in a lot of information, a lot of academic talks. But if you are not clear about anything, just feel free to reach out to me in terms of further clarifications. Okay, so that's about chapter 4. And just last one housekeeping material information, which is about the midterm. I know some of you already thinking about midterm. It's coming up in about a little less than 3 weeks. So it's a good time to think about it, right? So you may have realized, actually many of you realized that in this course, I set it up at 2 time slots on a one day, which is October 16th is the exam day, by the way, midterm day. But they're going to be morning and evening sessions, right? So how that works, and I want to know, of course, I have to know each of you is preferring, want to sign up for, morning session or evening session. I have to know that. So we're going to do some polling. I'm going to put up a separate video about midterm only, right? Not to make this video long. So please watch that video about midterm. And by the end of this week, which is a Friday, October 2nd, please make sure that you will answer the polling on eClass about the midterm time slot sign up, so that we know which time slot you are signing up for, basically. And if you don't do that, we would assume that you're going for the morning slot because that's pretty much close to our usual time, exam, class time, supposed to be 9 a.m. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for this week's housekeeping. And I hope you enjoyed chapter 4, and good luck with the chapter 3 quiz and weekly activity.